one thing are the plans, and the other thing is what we do about the plans, and, and we have to get used to it, and I am used to it. So I spent the winter in the Caribbean, not exactly where I wanted, but it's nice. It's good. I cannot complain. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what you just said, that one thing is our plan, another thing is what's happening. Probably that's something that the sea has told you, because the sea, to me, it's predictable. And maybe you know the sea. I mean, for sure you know the sea more than the average person. Is the sea full of surprises even after, I don't know for how many years you are sailing? You still encounter some unexpected stuff on the way, or how is it?
Oh yes, Peter. I do hope that the day where I do not encounter unexpected situations at sea is very, very far away, because that means that I would not be at sea. The sea, and there is something about the sea. There are two things about the sea that are very, very important and that are very difficult to explain to land-based people. The first one is that we sailors, we humans, we are the weakest link in all the chain. When you take the boat, you take the sea, you take the weather, you take your mast, you take your sails, you take everything, your engine. We are the weakest link. Our engine is stronger than we are. Our mast is stronger than I am. The weather, don't even speak about it. The sea. So we are very weak in that long chain of that makes the contact between us and the other thing that it's also difficult for people to understand is that the amount of variables that we do not control, it's much larger at sea than it is at shore. If you work on a company, you work with airplanes, for instance, you have an X amount of uncontrollable variables that you cannot control at sea, and it is quite high compared to other industries. It is quite high. At sea, this amount of variables it's much higher. It's much larger. We cannot control a lot of things. We cannot control the weather, starting with the weather. We cannot control most of the work of our suppliers. I mean, if I have a guy repairing my mast, I can control it a little bit, but I cannot be behind him every millimeter. So, and there is a lot of variables that you cannot control in our life. And if you put together these two things, that the first one is that you are the weakest link of the chain, and the second one is you cannot control. Most of your life, of your professional life, is out of your control. It makes quite a special situation, and it teaches us humility to start with, and second, it teaches us to be flexible and to adapt to whatever comes our way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the sea is full of lessons, especially if you spend, a good part of your life saving from one place to another. So I think you are just learning, always collecting situations that you bring to your daily life, and most of us probably don't face it, because I think for us, let's say, our jobs are very much repetitive. Whereas I think if you are in the sea, it's not exactly that. Though the sea seems always the same. Like it seems like it's blue. It's sometimes it's static, sometimes not much static. So how much your days can vary when you are sailing?
Well, this is something that I strongly, strongly refute, because even if you are on a boat and you look at the sea, and lots of people say this is always the same. It's the sea. It's always they see the waves, and it is actually not true. The sea, when it's a film, it's a movie, and the sea, it's a movie that tells you what happened far away or nearby, what it is now, and what it will be. And this movie, you have to be able to read it, and this is what separates a good seaman from a bad seaman, or not a seaman at all, is that when I am looking at the sea, I am seeing a movie, and this movie changes all the time, because if there is say there is a very strong wind very far away, 2,000 nautical miles away from me. There is a very strong wind. The waves of that strong wind will arrive to me. I will see that very far away there is a strong wind. If by the direction of the waves I can see if this wind is coming towards me or if it is going away from me. So it's you never get tired of looking at the sea because it's a permanent source of information. There's
Yeah.
It's a movie with there are not a lot of characters in this movie, I agree, but at least you are always watching a story, and you have to know how to read that story.
So can we say that the sea is a language of itself?
Yes, you can say that. There is a language, and that is something that I, I, I strongly, when I teach, it happens to me to teach sailing, and I tell people when you get to the sea or when you get to a boat, you are like a kid, and the first thing that you have to learn is how to walk on a boat. It's enough for me to see someone walking on a boat and I know immediately if he's experienced or not, just by walking, no, not more. And then after, when you once you know how to walk, you need to know how to speak, and that speaking englobes everything. That speaking means knowing the language of the boat and knowing the language of the sea as well. And it is very important that, yes, you can say it's a language.